NFL players are reacting to a new policy requiring them either to stand or stay in the locker room during the playing of the national anthem. On Twitter, players accused the league of taking away their freedom of speech and said their fight would continue. Now, last season, hundreds of players knelt during the anthem to protest racial injustice. The movement was started by former San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick. Now, under the new policy, players and team personnel on the field who do not stand will be fined. Joining me now is Jamal Murphy. He's a CBS Local sports columnist and attorney. He's also the co-host and executive producer of the Bill Rhoden on Sports podcast. Jamal, did the NFL think that this new policy would kind of get rid of all the hubbub around it, and did they not think the players would push back?
Yeah, I think they absolutely thought that this would just clear the road for the NFL, that the people would just accept this decision that they made. Even though it was a unilateral decision by the owners, the players did not have a voice in the decision. But I think they misguidedly thought that this would make the whole issue go away, and it definitely did not do that.
The NFLPA said that they were not consulted at all on this. So how are the players reacting? Not everybody's reacting, but some of the more vocal players in the league are reacting. What are they saying?
Right. I mean, I think the basic thing is not being involved in the decision. The NBA, for instance, has the same rule, but it was collectively bargained for, and that was not the case with the NFL. So there are a lot of angry players, but the question is, what is their reaction really going to be once the season starts?
Now, Commissioner Goodell said the policy was unanimously approved by team owners, but there were actually a couple teams that issued statements against it. There was also reports that San Francisco's 49er owner Jed York and Oakland Raiders owner Mark Davis abstained from the vote. So right now the Bay Area teams are kind of pulling back on this. What's your take on that?
Right. That's interesting, because the first thing I heard also was that it was unanimous, and then all of a sudden some news comes out, and when we see there are at least two owners that didn't partake in the vote.
So then, apparently abstaining is a no vote.
I guess so. I guess technically it's unanimous. Yeah. But then you also had Johnson from the Jets saying that he would pay for the fine if any of his players were to protest. So that's interesting also. So obviously it's not a unanimous decision amongst the owners.
Now, the NFL is not the first major sports league to have a policy for the national anthem. NBA actually has a policy requiring teams to, quote, stand and line up in a dignified posture along the sidelines or on the foul line during the playing of the national anthem. Why isn't this an issue for the NBA?
Well, I think, as I said before, it was collectively bargained for. It was part of the CBA, so the players had a say in allowing that to take place. Also, the NBA is a more progressive league, so they are, they feel more free to express themselves in all types of different ways. So it's a different situation. The NFL is a more conservative league. The owners are more conservative. So it's just the tension that comes with the territory in the NFL.
And you were talking NBA on Wednesday. The Milwaukee Police released body cam footage of an NBA player, Sterling Brown, being roughed up during an arrest over a simple parking violation. Now, his team, the Milwaukee Bucks, issued a statement in support of him and others who have experienced similar incidents. And this is, I guess, an example of why players like Colin Kaepernick were kneeling in the first place and bringing attention to it.
Correct.
How has the NBA handled social justice issues differently from the NFL, and how they allowed their players to react to it differently?
Well, the NBA has been proactive. They've made statements. In fact, the case that you're talking about with Sterling Brown, the Milwaukee Bucks put out a harsh statement criticizing, under no uncertain terms, criticizing the Milwaukee police force, and they came to the defense of their player wholeheartedly, and also the players themselves. Last year during the ESPY Awards, 4 NBA players stood up and talked about racial relations. So it's a situation where the NBA embraces that social change aspect, and the NFL is the complete opposite.
We've seen Popovich and Kerr from the Spurs and Warriors be vocal about it. I guess we got to maybe pay attention to see if coaches are next in the NFL.
Right.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.